There is so much going on in the world today that it is sometimes hard to keep up with. Sometimes we just have to shut down. And so I wanted to spend a little time with Ashley McGirt, who I met several years ago when I was doing some work at Amazon Web Services, and we brought her in. Oh gosh, that was 2020. But Ashley, I wanted to have this conversation with you because whew, sometimes we just need to reset. And I want to hear from you. And first, before we even dive into that, can you tell us, people who you are and the work that you do, and then we'll kind of dive into the why behind this conversation.
Absolutely. And so much has transpired since we last connected, and I'm always happy to be in community with me. Who is Ashley? Ashley is an avid traveler. I've been to over 60 countries. I am a person who loves humanity. I'm a lover of sea turtles. If you know anything about the life of sea turtles, very few survive the trek from land to sea. And crabs eat them, people step on them. It's a very treacherous journey. And I often liken myself to the journey of that of a sea turtle because it was a very difficult one, a treacherous one, one that was a public health crisis before things were labeled a public crisis. I am a social justice advocate. I serve as the health chair for Washington and Alaska, Oregon, NAACP. I am a person who loves to laugh. I love comedy shows, watching movies, and just being by the water.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to tell you offline about some of my places in Barbados to go to. Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
because there's one place called Turtle's Nest, and so when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, you absolutely have to go there.
I've been to Barbados, so I wonder if I've been there, but that name Turtle's Nest doesn't stand out.
Oh yeah, we'll talk offline about that one. But so I wanted to bring you in because I have been noticing that there's, like I said at the top, there's so much going on right now. And for anybody that's kind of witnessing what is happening and kind of listening to what is happening, it is all by design. Like the confusion, the chaos is all by design, and it's designed to wear you down. But there's so many of us that have kind of been in this space of social justice and inclusion and equity work that we know we have to continue pushing forward. We know we have to continue fighting. But at the same time, we're tired, we're exhausted. Many people are even saying, you know what, this isn't our fight. We've done our part in the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
And so, what do you say to folks that are kind of in this space of, I'm passionate about this work, but I don't know if this is our battle right now?
Mhm. And I think it's so important right now for people to name the thing because for so many years, we have not actually said the quiet part out loud.
Mhm.
And we're exhausted. Our ancestors have been exhausted, our peers, our family members. This isn't anything new, it's just exacerbated, especially with social media, television, and film. So it's really important for us to center ourselves and ground ourselves in the things that bring us joy. I think so much about my grandmother and her life and death. She was a product of the civil rights movement. She did all of the things. She definitely believed that service was the rent we pay to live on this earth and was constantly a voice for the voiceless, going out with the picket signs, all of the advocacy, and it killed her. And
Mhm.
I wonder if she said yes when she wanted to say no, and what the compounding effects of that and what it was like for her to fight for systems, things, and people that didn't necessarily fight back for her, and how her lifespan was cut short. So when we're in the times that we're in and we're exhausted, we're burnt out, we're fatigued, I think about that, how that cuts years off of our lifespan, and how my grandmother is not here today, my uncle, my aunties, my stepfather just passed away. So many people of color are dying at disproportionate rates than that of our white counterparts. And it's literally life or death. And
Mhm.
I'm a fighter. I'm a person who definitely wants to advocate, but I also need to protect me and my well-being. I was sharing with you earlier how I'm at an Airbnb right now, vacationing with my family just to get away from the chaos of the world and the grief and all of the things that we're experiencing. And I think that's so important as people, especially Black people and other people of color, to find time to take a break, to rest. We don't have to overexpose ourselves to all of the things that are going on in the world. I just took a train from San Diego to LA, and the Amish community, they were all around the Amtrak station. And I was thinking a lot about them and how they don't expose themselves to social media
Mhm.
or watch the news, but they're very aware of the things that are going on in this country. They were present at the George Floyd protest and march and speaking out. So you don't have to watch everything. You will still know what's happening in this world. If the Amish community can still find out, I don't know who flies a kite to them or lets them know, or maybe when they're in the waiting room at the Amtrak station, they see and
Right.
they hear. But it's so important because we feel like we have to be the first to post. We have to be the first to watch the
Yeah.
news station and find out what's happening. And we have visceral responses to the information that we're taking in. And
Yeah.
honestly, so many of us are not living long or living well because of it.
Yeah. And it's so, and again, it's by design, right? So when you create this chaos that creates stress in the body that impacts our health, and then you take away health, right? Are the resources around health that especially impact Black and Brown communities, right? It's being set up for failure. You are being set up to ultimately not be here in the long term. And again, it's all by design and it's multi-level.
Very
One of the
strategic. Very
It's
strategic.
very strategic. And one of the things that I have often said, and I've talked about it on the show, is we have to be very intentional about how we fill
Mhm.
our cups and
Yeah.
how we take care of ourselves, right? And you're talking about vacation, and I'm sitting here thinking through, like, okay, the summer is a little hectic and crazy for me, but I want to be very intentional about what time I take and how I can enjoy family while I have them with me versus they're here, but then I'm thinking about something else down the line. How can I be very present in the moment? And I think that when we think about filling our cup, so many people feel guilty about that, or they're in this mindset that I'm here to serve others, right?
Mm.
I'm here to be in service to others, um, regardless of the impacts that it has on us. And there's a fine line, I think, between I can be in service, but I cannot be in service to you if I'm empty and I'm struggling myself, right? So I need to be able to take care of me. And what is it that I need? Um, and so as you're working with folks and you're talking to folks, what are some of those questions that cause them to pause to think about taking care of self? Because that's, I think, one of the hardest things for people to do. It's like, oh, I can take care of you. I know how to do this. It's
Yeah.
what do I need? I don't know.
And that's one of the hardest things for people to answer when I'm working with my clients, especially those who are caregivers, who are service
Mm,
people, and just so focused on doing so much for others, but not for self. They have very difficulty with processing how to pour from their overflow. And I'll ask them, who are you outside of your service? Who are you outside of your work? And so
mm,
many individuals pause, so many begin to cry because they don't know who they are outside of that and what life
mhm,
would look like if they actually sat back and rested. We're
mhm,
talking about how these things are strategically designed to keep us overstimulated, emotionally exhausted, to the point where we then internalize that and we feel guilty for resting, disconnecting, or actually protecting our peace. So much so that many of us can't even identify what peace looks like because
mm,
for so long, peace was taken from us. We were shamed, we were guilted for experiencing what may actually be a resemblance of peace. And so I love to really just sit with my clients and have them sit with themselves. And even myself, I will definitely sit back and ask myself, why are you saying yes? Why did you just say yes? What can you do to pause before you respond to that email, before you respond to that text?
Mhm.
And the great thing about email and text communications and phone calls is you have the access and the ability to respond within your own time. Nothing has to be immediate. And with AI and technology, you can set up automated responses so that people can, see maybe you're away or you're taking a break, or here's a list of frequently answered questions that you may ask. And I think it's so important for us to utilize that and to
Mhm.
take the space and to be unapologetic about it so that we can actually be here and be here for those that we actually want to do all of this work and service for.
Yeah. You didn't say this word, but what came to my mind as you were talking about that is like reestablishing boundaries, right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I'm
Social
so big
media.
on boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, social media has created this false sense of there are no boundaries, right?
Mhm.
Where everyone's always connected all the time. And it's being intentional. I'm gonna use that word a lot, but it is about being intentional about setting those boundaries and sending that email that I'm good for this. I will craft an email and then schedule it to go out 2 days later.
Same, same.
you know? And it's like, because I don't want you to feel like I'm reading it at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not
Mhm.
going to respond at 9 o'clock on a Friday, because then, and I worked in environments that were like that, where it's like there was this expectation that you were always on. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I need to create this boundary. And so I wouldn't respond until Monday morning. Right. So, all right, let me get this out of my head. But I'm not carrying that into the weekend with me.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
really big on
boundaries.
undoing rush culture. It's rooted in colonialism, and there's this expectation that people have access to us because they have our emails or our phone numbers. And it's so important that we let people know that's not the truth. And especially people in leadership positions, it's so important that we're not sending emails or communications to our staff, to people we're working with or we're in communication with at 4:45 if you're on a typical 9 to 5 schedule, or if you know that somebody's on vacation on your team. I have someone right now who's taking a week off. So I'm intentional, taking your word, about not sending her any communications throughout the week. And I'm scheduling it days after she returns. So she has some time to already settle in to the individuals who are reaching out to her outside of me. And so a couple days, and I'm strategic about how I straddle those communications that are going to her. And then also we're filling the void while she's away. And there's individuals and systems that are in place so that she can rest and take the break that she needs. And my staff do this for me as well, as I'm currently taking time off to be with my family and experiencing rest and joy and all of the things that we were birthed to experience in this world.
What I'm hearing, I'm nodding. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Um, in my work, I call it creating a culture of care, right?
Yes.
And like, how do you create this culture of care where it's not just this superficial, oh, we care about you. It's what systems am I creating? What am I putting in place to actually support what you need, right?
Mhm.
Like what you just said around, someone being away and you not scheduling work for them to think about until a couple of days later.
Yeah.
That's again intentional, right? But it's so helpful in creating this culture of care where they're not bombarded with a million things as soon as they get back and just undid all the rest that they just had, right?
Right, right.
Right, because that's so many industries do that. Or will schedule stuff, oh, okay, you come back on Monday morning, I'm going to give you the morning to resettle and then
Mhm.
bombard you Monday afternoon with a million different things. How do we ease folks back into the workplace? How do we create this culture of care where people are getting what they need in order to fill their cups? And we honor that. Like, it's not just checking the box to say, oh yeah, okay, that's nice and good. How do we honor that in a way where they feel, wow, okay, this is a place where I can be successful and I feel valued and I feel seen and I feel heard, and I can then do the same for others, right? Like that, I think is what I'm hearing in this. But a big part of that too is us knowing ourselves to know what we need in order to fill our cups. It's that missing piece. Um, the first, I would say, 4 seasons or so of the podcast, I would always ask my guests at the end, "What do you do to fill your cup?" And they all knew it was coming. Like they all knew that question was coming. The number of people that said, "You know what? I knew that you were going to ask that question, and I still don't know." Or the folks that were very, very tuned into what they needed. I mean, I block this time off. I do this. I do, like, they had all of the things and it was a part of their routine. But there's so many things that I think I have learned to make routine within my daily work that I don't necessarily always have to think about filling my cup because it's already built into the system. It's already built into my processes. So as I'm thinking about this, what are some ways that you've worked with your clients to have them go beyond just thinking about how to fill their cups to, okay, how do we make this a part of our routine?
Yeah. Well, first I ask them to identify it. What's the thing that brings them joy? What's the thing that they feel in their body? Because oftentimes when we're thinking about self-care, we're thinking about spa days, getting our hair done, our nails done, basic hygiene. And I want my clients and everyone in general to go deeper than that and really look at what is bringing you nourishment, what is all about you. Because oftentimes too, when I'm talking with my clients, they're doing these things with their friends, their peers, their spouses, their kids. And I'm like, no, you need to actually take some time with self to isolate. It's great to spend time with your partner and your kids and your friends and all of those things, but what do you do that's just you, that's all about you? And if you're going to the nail salon and you're in there with a bunch of other people and they're poking and prodding, does it really feel good? Or maybe you have a private nail artist, but still, does it really feel good? Does it bring you joy? Does it improve your spirit? What is that doing for you? And maybe it does. And I'm really big on grounding, and I'm a somatic clinician and being in tune with the body. And so, like, when you're communicating with individuals, you're responding to text messages or phone calls, where do you feel that? Does your shoulder start to tighten? Is it like, oh God, here they come again? What are they asking for? Or do you light up? Do you feel lighter? And the individuals who make you feel lighter, that bring ease to your life, I encourage people to spend more time with them. And most importantly, even if it is, scheduling out time in your calendar, okay, it's 15 minutes here, it's an hour here, to where then it becomes a ritual and it's routine. And this is something that you normalize, ensuring that your family, your peers, your colleagues, they understand the rituals that you've created in your life. I've built a phenomenal team that I really love. They're very protective of my time and their time. And they know they're not going to call me outside of a certain window. They're not going to come to me with certain things. My husband, my family's the same way. It's pretty funny because my sister was calling me and she was like, Mom was asking about your business. I founded the Therapy Fund Foundation, an organization that provides free mental health services to Black community members. And my sister goes, she told my mom that it was the weekend and not to bother me. And my mom was like, you can't tell me not to talk to my own daughter. But she did not call me over the weekend and ask. And then it was funny when they both told me how it went down. And she was like, yeah, I told her she could ask me. My sister helps me with my business, so she knows some of the answers. But she was very clear. It's the weekend. Leave Ashley alone. You don't need to be calling her, asking her therapy fund business. Let her rest. And my mom was really honoring, like, who gonna tell me I can't talk to my daughter?
Right.
But they respected that boundaries, and it's kind of a joke thing, or my husband calls what I take Ashley naps. I'm not actually sleeping, but I may be doom scrolling, or I'm watching Netflix and I say I'm taking a nap, but I'm not necessarily sleeping. And our
Yeah.
boys, they know, like, it's an Ashley nap, let her chill, leave her be. And same goes for them. I know when my husband takes his time to watch his anime, do the things that he likes to do. I do not like anime. I respect that and I leave him be. So it's
Right.
ensuring that your family, your peers, they know the time that is yours and they
Mhm.
protect that space. And like I said, my family's so protective of it that my own sister was telling my mom, leave her alone, do not call her.
Yeah. But no, that's so important, right? That is so critically important. I think for me lately, it's been listening to ebooks, like these like romance novel ebook things, because I
Oh,
just go into a different world and I like series, right?
yeah,
So it's like, oh, you learn about one sibling and then it's the next one is the next sibling. And I'm like, y'all, oh, crazy. But I just go into these worlds and I'll have my headphones on, my wireless
mhm,
headphones, and I'm just walking around the house listening to and I'm like in my own world. And
yeah,
that's my escape, right? Sometimes I'll go out on the deck and I'll sit out there and like just listen to nature, like
yeah,
whatever it is. But I know for me, it's audio. Like it's not necessarily music, but it's
yeah,
some type of escape. Um, talked about Barbados. Me on a beach, I'm just sitting there. I might not be in the water, but I'm listening to the waves. Like I just
mm,
want to hear the waves, hear the birds. Like that's my escape. Um, and that fills my cup. And so making sure that I have those moments where I can truly fill my cup so that one, I find when I take the time to do that, I have a better attitude the rest of the day.
absolutely.
Right? And I can show and be present for other people in ways that they need me to be present for them. But I'm like, but, and you said it so well, they have to honor that.
Yeah, and if they
They,
aren't honoring it, then those aren't the people that you need to be around, and that's when boundaries come into play, whether it's, friends, peers, colleagues, maybe looking at a different work environment, and it can definitely be tough to make those hard, drawn the line, "This is what I'm not going to experience in my life. This is not something that I want." And for me, it looked like creating my own business.
yeah. Oh, me
Because
too.
when I was working in corporate America in that environment, and the way in which they did not respect my boundaries, they did not respect me as a person. And they said all the cute words like, we care. But ultimately, in order to care for someone, you have to see yourself through them. And if you can't see yourself through this person, you're ultimately not going to care about who they are or their humanity. And it's so important that we see one another. One of my really good friends, Kevin Hines, he is a suicide survivor, and he's in the documentary called The Bridge that highlights the Golden Gate Bridge, where so many people go to end their life. And I love to share his story, which he knows this, because before he decided to end his life, he was like, if one person looks at me, if one person smiles at me, I won't do it. He caught the city bus, he walked all around, and ultimately he jumped and he
Mhm.
survived. He survived to tell the story. But I really look at the fact that not one person looked at him, not one person said hello, and just what the power of seeing somebody can do
Yeah.
and how it can save a life, and the power of greeting each other. And so many of us, we're so focused on ourselves, we're in our own little bubble and our own day to day, that we don't see others outside of ourselves, and we can't care for them in the way
Yeah.
that they need caring to. And that
Yeah.
ultimately impacts how we care for ourselves too.
That could be a whole other episode, a whole other show. The whole just the power of a greeting.
Yes.
And I see it all the time. Like I do a class early on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And like clockwork, whoever's coming out the building and I'm going in, there's a certain demographic that will always speak every single time.
Mm,
Good
yeah.
morning, good morning, good morning. And I tested it out yesterday. And some people said good morning. Other folks were just saw me and then went down to their phone.
Mm.
And I was like, this is fascinating, interesting. I'm like, the sociologist in me is just like, I need to study this, but I ain't got time for that. But I think that
There is someone who does. I actually was watching a video on YouTube and they incorporated the viral video. I don't know if you saw it. There's a elementary school teacher that does these really cool greetings with his students. So with like 30 different
yeah,
ones, he's like dapping them up, doing different dances, and he's memorized all 30 different greetings for each student. And he really sees them and makes
mhm,
it so strategic so that each student feels welcome. And so many people can't even say hi without, not picking up their phone after. And this is a man who's remembered all these dances and different things to make the students feel welcome. And it
yeah,
went viral. But yeah, the person who was researching greetings that I was listening to, they were actually talking about the Maasai tribe and how they greet one another in Africa. And instead of saying, "How are you?" they say, "How are the children?"
mm,
And based on how the children are is how they respond. And I'm thinking about the children now here in America, and the children are not well.
at all,
Mm.
at all.
Yeah.
And we recorded another episode of the show, and we were talking about how children today are just not the same as children like our generation. Um, and the challenge is for parents to know and understand that they don't have to be the end all be all. Because if we try to protect children in a certain space, children are going to find the information out anyway.
Mm.
Um, but getting kind of back to this, it's really around, even in those situations, how do we sit in discomfort? How do we know when we need to not be in our own way?
Mm-hmm.
And that often does show up again when we talk about wellness and healthcare and self-care and all of these things. We're told that this is what self-care is, which may or may not align with who we are. And
Right.
so how do we do our own research? How do we find those things that fill our cups? Um, and sometimes, again, kids will challenge us in ways that we're not always comfortable, but then you might find something out about yourself in that process. And I think it's that learning process that helps us realize maybe this is something I need to change, or maybe this is something I need to shift, or maybe this is a boundary that I need to create
Yeah.
in order to honor myself. Um, so I know that goes down a whole other rabbit hole, but I wanted us to, really talk about being so focused on what it is we need to do to take care of ourselves, because I am absolutely seeing it in the world right now where people are overwhelmed, um, disenfranchised
Mm-hmm.
systemically, um, feeling hopeless and helpless, feeling that they lack power. And I wanted to kind of do a show or do an episode where we talked about how, though this is by design,
Mm-hmm.
it is not the end of the story, right? We are resilient people. We are a people that can get to the end, the other side,
Yeah.
right? And tell the story. And so, big part of that is being able to honor ourselves and take care of ourselves and take care of community as and when is needed. Um, so, Ashley, if folks wanted to get in contact with you, learn more about the work that you're doing, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can go directly to my website, ashleymcgirt.com. I'm on most social media platforms at Therapy with Ash.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having this conversation. I mean, I'm sure that, like I said, there's so many rabbit holes we could go down, but I wanted
Talk
to
all
at
day.
least I wanted to at least start this conversation because I think, especially in these coming months and years, um, we will absolutely need to revisit what wellness looks like in times of chaos for so many marginalized communities. And so, yeah, how do we survive while under attack? So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. DEI After 5 is produced by the Leon Thomas Group. For more information, go to theleonthomasgroup.com.